Hey everyone, sorry about the video quality. I'm using a standard laptop webcam for this one. Um, so we're going to make a AR app, and we're just going to set that up with Unity and AR Foundations, and we'll develop a test environment for augmented reality using Unity as a game engine and a Android Galaxy 4, I believe, Galaxy S4. Galaxy S3 tablet. So this should work for any phone or tablet compatible with Unity's AR. And this tutorial, I should mention, is developed in conjunction with my program at Boise State University, Games and Interactive Media Mobile Technology program, for which I'm a professor. My name is Dr. Dan, and let's get started. So, what I have here is just a new scene, which I'm going to save as test AR environment. And this is a new scene that's actually inside of a Unity project called AR Foundation Samples. So the first step to developing a augmented reality app where you can very easily and quickly get video game objects, walking around on tables, putting any kind of objects in the environment and seeing them with your tablet or phone, camera, is to go get this AR Foundations Unity GitHub repo. So if we go to github.com and search for Unity, find all of their repositories. And Unity Technologies is actually what we want. If I just actually search AR Foundations, we'll get there a little quicker. And it looks like actually AR Foundations package, you may be able to just get that package now from our package manager directly. But if we want like the sample scenes and everything, if you want to set this up the way that I did it, if you just go to Unity Technologies, AR Foundations dash samples, you can pull all their working samples. And I like to do that at first because you can test that they're gonna that some of their samples will work and see the kinks in their code before you start adding your own. So you want to, if you have GitHub Desktop installed, you can just open this up in Desktop. And if you want, you can try and download the zip. Sometimes compression affects the game objects when you do that. But either way, you want to clone this. And once you have the code on your desktop, open it up, and you'll see these folders. So I'm just making a new scene right now, and I'm calling this scene, AR Foundations, or sorry, AR Environment. We have nothing in this scene at the moment. So the first thing I want to put in this, first thing I want to do actually is get rid of this main camera. Don't need it. We're going to have an AR camera. Directional light can stay. Let's make some ground so we can test out our AR stuff right here in the editor and not have to build it every time. I'm just going to reset that transform and scale it out to about 10. Let's make that 0.1. Nothing special about that ground, really, except let's add a layer here and call it ground test. And then let's give that layer to ground so that we can use it later for a layer mask. Okay, so now we need a AR session. So I'm just going to make an empty game object, call this AR session. And just to keep everything consistent, let's reset that transform. We're going to add an AR session to that empty game object. We're going to add a script there. The other thing we're going to do is add an AR input script, and these are all scripts I have by virtue of opening this AR Foundation samples. And the other way you can get that, I should just mention, is as we saw when I searched it in Package Manager, you can just get AR Foundations right there. Okay. The other thing we need now is a camera. So let's make a new empty game object. And let's call this AR session. So this will be the origin of our session. And in that origin, we're going to have quite a few scripts here. We're going to add, well, let's reset it first. And then let's add a AR session origin script. That's going to take a camera, so we'll have to make a camera at some point. Let's make an AR plane manager. And that's going to take a plane. We can actually fix that right now. If we go to prefabs here, you will see that they have a prefab for AR feathered plane. So let's just pull that into here. That's going to be kind of like a sparkly plane that appears when the device finds a suitable surface to start instantiating and using augmented reality technology. So we've got that. We'll need to know where our surface is. So we'll want an AR raycast manager so that we know the distance to whatever it is that we're going to be putting objects into our environment. We need to know, we shoot basically a laser down to the table or the floor or whatever our camera's pointing at, the wall, ceiling, and with this AR raycast manager, we get a location of where that is in relative to our camera. Finally, we'll need an AR point cloud manager. Point cloud. And it's going to want a point cloud prefab. So let's give it one. Cloud. Let's see. We want the AR point cloud visualizer. They have two though, so why don't we give it the actual? All right. So this needs a camera. So let's nest our camera inside of it. Select camera there. AR session camera transform is already reset. Great. So we're going to need to put some scripts on this camera. We will need a AR track pose. So just track pose driver. For the pose device, we want generic XR. Let's call it the color camera, rotation and position, and we want to update. Everything else is fine. Okay. The other thing we want to add is AR camera manager, of course. That's fine. And then AR back. And we don't need a custom material or renderer for this. For the camera itself, let's do solid color. Select the black background. Color mask everything. That's all fine. Except let's set this to something more. Well, 60 might be fine. For clipping planes, 0.1 will be better, and bar 20. That's just their default settings for AR camera. That should be it. Or we need to do. Okay. And this is our main tag it as such. And let's see, we have this ground plane here and this camera here. So now let's pull this up so we can see the ground. And let's rotate it a little high up, maybe like 7. So there's our ground here. Now let's rotate it about 40, maybe 45. 45 on the x-axis, so we're pointing down. All right, so now we can see the objects. This is all going to be overridden built to our app. And the last thing we need to do now that we have a camera, drag it here, save it. Now let's just test that we can actually build. So I have go to my build settings. Let's remove this scene. Let's add build and scene. We want Android. This is the device I have it in, and everything else should be fine. Let's build and run, and let's call this test APK, test environment APK. I just want to make sure that I can build to Android, so what I should get is just the camera at this point, and we should be able to see those feathered planes here. So take a little while, so I'm going to pause the video. Alright, so we are now copying, and it is running. Alright, so I will switch to webcam here, see what I'm seeing. So here is our tablet, and as you can see, we've got that ground plane in our way that we need to take care of. But I am actually seeing the beginnings of the clipping planes working. So that's all I wanted to do is check that we could build and run it. So let's go ahead and deactivate the ground for now. I'm going to switch my tablet off so that I don't keep running my camera ragged here. Okay, alright. So we deactivated the ground, but if you actually want that active when I'm testing, so we'll have to write a script. Alright. So in our camera, let's go ahead and place a key just right in front. So maybe we can scale this down a bit, like 0.1, and we can put it forward a bit to like 3. There's our cube right there. We're going to shoot that cube down onto the ground. That's our goal here. We're going to do it first here in the editor, and then we'll build that out to AR. Make sure we can do that too. Okay. One thing I do want to do is let's give this cube color so we can actually see it on the ground. There's a checkered video right there. Tricolor. There we go. That's kind of ugly, but it'll work. All right. So we've done a lot so far. We have gotten AR foundations, and we didn't actually have to configure anything. The version of Unity I'm using is 2019.2, so to verify that it works on that version. All right, we've set up an AR camera, and we're starting to set up the test environment. So let's start writing some scripts. Yeah. So on AR session origin, where do I want to put this script? I think I want it right here on AR session origin, and let's call this script place object. And we're going to want to use settings, a few variables. Edit that script, bring it over here. Let's see. And here we go. So first thing we're going to need to use is have to use the Unity engine XR VR foundation. I'm using Unity and XR.AR subsystems. Let's require a component here. Require component and type of AR raycast manager, which we actually have at that level already, but this is all going to interact with the raycast manager. We need to shoot our raycast, our laser, down onto the table or whatever surface in order to know where that surface is. All right, on to the public variables. So let's make a public game object place object, and that's cube for now. Let's see here. Let's have an awake method instead of the start method. So in our awake method, let's have a raycast manager equal to get component AR raycast manager. Let's just get this little AR. And I'm not happy with that. Not exist. Oh, I will need that as a private variable. AR raycast manager. Raycast manager. Whoops, forward. And that can be private. Now what's the problem? Okay. That's public. Oh no, that's not a problem. It's slight spelling there. Okay. Case is important. So the other thing I'll need is static list of AR hit. And let's call that AR hit. Equals new list AR hit. Alright. So we've got this list of hits that we make with our AR raycast. Have our AR raycast manager. And let's see here, what else do we need? We'll need a public layer mask. Let's have a public vector3 to track our last place position. Let's have a public float place speed. We can kind of lerp these to their position. We can set that to like 3. No. And let's have a pool is let's have a public, you know, we need another script. Let's call it button or UI manager. UI manager. So we'll have a button that looks like that's already a class. So how about AR manager? All right, so we'll have to make that class, and let's do that right now. So let's make an empty game object. Call this manager. Add a component called AR and script. Alright, so all that AR manager is going to do is like hook our buttons up. We will need at least one button, so I'm going to go to UI button, and there it is. Let's see, is that actually going to appear in the camera? Probably not yet. Let's see what it looks like when I run it. There's the button appear now. So let's make sure that that gets in front of the camera. Run it. Alright, looks good. Button click should work fine with touch controls by automatically through this event system. So the AR manager is going to talk to this button. For now, let's call text place object. Okay. And let's actually override that. Okay. This maybe place. Alright, so now in our let's open this AR manager script for editing. And so this is going to be using Unity.UI, and let's have a button, place button, reference. Actually, we don't even need that. And we don't need this either. Rather, we just need public place object method void. That's, and then in our button, let's just debug log place yeah, that should work. Okay. Oh, in Python, JavaScript, double click. All right. In Unity, then let's hook up this button. The AR manager. So we have this button, and then on click, add an event. Drag our AR manager in there, and select our method that we just wrote called this. Save that, run it, click, console will give us placing. Cool. All right. So we want to link to that and here. Back to our placement script. That was the last thing we needed. Let's see here. Oh, one last thing in Unity. AR sessions will have a placement object. We want to drag our AR manager in there so that we have that right. So in Awake, let's actually have a public game object for and we'll link to the floor. So when we wake up, say if application is editor. We're in the editor. Test floor set active root. Okay. And that way we can just deactivate this ground. But we can then pull it into here. If we run it and it detects we're in the editor, our ground will appear, otherwise it won't distract us from the rest of the scene when we're building to a phone. Okay, so we've got that going. Let's write the script for actually making an object. So in our update loop, we'll need two cases, right? One, if our application if we're in the editor, then we're just going to do a normal raycast from our camera dot main dot screen point to ray and open our brackets here. New vector 3. And we'll want the cameras, the main camera's pixel width first for the X. And let's make it half the pixel width. Let's use for the Y, as you might suspect, camera.main pixel height times 0.5. We want half of that height. You don't want to close it. And then for the Z, okay. What's the problem here? Does it do floats? Yeah. Alright. We'll make sure that those are floats. And raycast hit. Ooh. Raycast hit. And let's say if our physics raycast this ray hits something at, within 500 unity units, a big number. If it's our layer mask, right? So this will be our ground. If it's our layer mask, which we should have up here, I would call it layer M. Our layer M. If we hit the ground, then let's make place object. And let's pass in this hit stuff. Okay. And we'll have to write that method. So void place object. and this is going to take vector 3. And oh, here. Place object on is there. Okay. Oh, because the script is called place object. Right. You can't have the same method in a script called place object. That isn't the constructed. That's what that was. All right, now that'll take care of if we're in the editor. Pass in a vector to position, and we'll place the object there. Otherwise, we need to use the raycast manager that the raycast, the AR raycast manager. So else if AR raycast manager raycast from the camera, we point to ray, and here, oops, do that. We point to ray. So let's pass in a new vector 3 at 0.5, 0.5, 0.5f, 0.5f, 0f. We don't need to take half the pixel height size anymore. This will give us the right results. And let's we have this hit variable, AR hit, and trackable type, a lane within trackable type dot. Okay. So basically, if we collide with a plane that we can actually instantiate things on, we'll use that ray point to create hit pose object equals AR hits at 0, first element of that array, dot pose, and then we can just call this place object hit pose position, and that will feed in vector 3 to there. Okay, so then let's write this code for how to place an object. So when we place an object, we first have to make it. So let's see here. We're going to need a way of tracking whether the item has been placed. So in our AR manager over here, let's have a public tool item place equals false. And let's see. When we place an object, when the button is clicked, instead of calling debug log, let's call place object dot, you know what? We don't even need to do that yet. So in place object, I don't think I like this like separate AR manager script. So instead, in update, we're always passing this in to place object script. All right, let's just write this script. So here's the essentials. We need to get the last placement position. The last placement position equals this position we're feeding in. Save that. We need to set is placing true, and then let's just say we want to. So we've got this object. Let's see here. We have this object up here, placement object. So we just want to let's instantiate it. So let's say game object geo equals instantiate placement object transform, or we can just pass it on transform. Instantiate it out of transform. And then let's lerp it. So let's say go dot position or transform dot position equals, and we'll want to vector3 lerp go transform position, and then we want let's see, where do we want to lerp it to? Well, this position, and we can do time time dot delta times what I want speed. All right, placement speed. Okay, so we'll set that. And then the other thing we probably want to do after we instantiate it, let's see, go transform dot parent, separate that from its parent. Okay, so we separate it from ourselves and we push it down to wherever our raycast is. And let's see. I actually don't need his place yet. I'm just going to comment that out and comment this out as well. Well, let's see. We don't want to place other objects while this is lerping. So let's see. At the end of our update loop, we can say is placing yeah, we actually don't need this yet. We have multiple objects. We might want to track whether we're placing an object. But for now, we're just going to use one. Don't really need that. Let's test it out and see if this is going to work. So we're in our test environment, place object, right, because we don't actually have a link to that yet. So AR session, we need, so this layer needs to be the ground, so our raycast manager can talk to that. So the test layer, just make sure that our ground's tagged with that. Ground test layer ground. Okay. And then the other thing was we need a reference to our placement object. It should not be AR manager. It should be like a cube. Okay. Place object. Oh. Well, that was kind of cool. It was actually placing objects. So AR manager does what? This currently just tracks when the button is pressed. What we really need to do is we're always trying to place an object so far. That's not really the behavior we want. Instead, we're using Unity Engine UI. No, yeah, no, we don't want that. Let's save this, and this place object, let's not call it here. Well, let's continuously call it, but let's make a check. Let's say, I see what I was doing. So how about get rid of this, and over in AR Manager, we have item placed. Let's make this button pressed. It's false, and then when the button's pressed, when we place object, let's say button pressed, true. And then over in place object, we have a link to this AR Manager script. So let's say if AR Manager button press equals true, then we'll go through all of this and we'll say AR Manager button press is false. Yeah. But we only do it once. Button gets pressed, this gets set to true, this happens once, and then it gets set to false. Ideally. See if that like that. Do we have a link to AR Manager? Put that in there. Alright, so nothing's happening. We click place object, we get a single cube. Alright, where is it? It is right there. So move forward a little bit. That's interesting. Didn't lerp all the way to the ground. Okay. Let's see if when we move our camera a bit and we place an object again, that's kind of cool. Alright, so we get this other object, and again, it looks like it. If we take a look at the cube, looks like it's pushing it out 0.5 meters. That's a little strange. I believe that is happening because the lerp is how we're setting the position, and it doesn't finish in time. So instead of lerping, I'm just going to set this directly to the position that I want. So it'll just jump now right to where we want it. And let's go back here, save, run it again, this object. There it is. So kind of halfway into the floor. Okay, cool. And we could mess with the like scale and rotation of it later. But let's test that that works not just in debugging in Unity, but build it out to augmented reality. Build and run. Pause the video while this is happening. All right. So we have successfully built, and we switch to webcam. All right. So you can see we have this object. We're gonna have to kind of wait till it finds a plane where you can place things. So how am I gonna do this? All right. I will point it at my couch over there. We have found a ground. I'm not sure if I'm gonna, and it's working. I'm able to place cubes on the ground. Not sure if you'll be able to see them, but there they are. So as you can see, we're able to place cubes kind of anywhere on this ground, and they show up in virtual reality and augmented reality. So it's that easy to get objects kind of appearing. We could also make this cube here that's blocking our view not even on the scene to improve this, but that is the basics. Okay. And we learned some things about lighting. Lighting in my apartment. Okay. So so now we have an awesome like development environment, right? And one of the things I'm going to do is in this cube in the camera, I'm actually just going to make this a prefab by dragging it into assets, and I'm going to delete it because that was distracting me to have a cube like right in the middle of the scene. Then it's going to be missing a game object, so I'm just going to bring that over. So everything should still work, except we won't have a big cube in the middle of the screen. There we go. And the other thing I want to do, just real quick, is let's see here. So there was some issues with scaling here that were a little distracting. So let's see. If I make the canvas itself, what are the values here? We're currently doing screen space overlay, which is fine. And we have the target display there. Additional shader, nothing. That's all fine. But the actual buttons we can change a bit here. So let's see. First of all, it was way too small. Let's make it like 250 by, I don't know, 100. A big old button. Uh, oh, but let's anchor it to like lower left maybe. Um, and so anchoring it will make it appear where it is, no matter what the actual screen size is. I'm fine with it being right there in the center. The other thing we can do here is we can, let's see, I think that's all, that'll be enough. Actually, it is super huge, so I'll make it like 70, 250. And for the text, we can bump that up a bit. It looks weird, so small, like 20, 40. Place object, bold. There we go. All right, so a little more better graphics. Is still pretty basic, but if we wanted to make it fancy, we could give this color some transparency to it. Get a nice shade of blue, glowing blue. Set the alpha down. You can kind of see things behind it, you know. Let's actually make it like a darker blue. And then let's make the font more visible by making the font color white. Maybe like a purpley white. And we can even put the alpha on this. So it's kind of like ephemeral when you can see it. Alright, so that's all just, fancy stuff for making it appear a little better. The other thing we could do is kind of use um, a actual source image and just drag some kind of UI element. So, yeah, any PNG will do. So, anyway, okay, so that's all I wanted to show for the first video. We have a testing environment, and we've set up a script for placing an item, and we began to set up the UI for that. So I'm going to leave scaling items for a separate tutorial. Moving and scaling items once they're pressed by dragging your fingers across the screen, because we'll need to do some touch screen stuff that will take a while. So let's save that for part 2 of this tutorial. But as it is, you know what? In part 2, we can even add in some items worth having in AI. So, make the scene more interesting, and maybe we can also be able to put multiple kinds of items. We'll do all that in the part 2 next video. So thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful for how you might get started with testing environments and setting up a UI. Yeah. See you in the next video.